What's up everyone? Today I'm back with another video, and in today's video we race against real race car drivers, and the two sessions that are coming up are filled with aggressive and action-packed battles and very aggressive driving. But with that being said, in the first session we weren't really battling with the race car drivers. This session we were actually battling with the mechanics, who, as you can see in front of us, the person who's warming up his tires has a black shirt. So all of the mechanics had a black shirt, and I'll point out the race car drivers in the second session whenever we get to battling with them. So as you guys can see, the guy who started in front of us, like I said, is a mechanic, and he got a pretty decent gap on me for the first part of the lap. But here you can see that we catch up to him a whole lot in this back sector with the chicane, and I have the momentum, so I decide to pass him around the outside. And what I do is I give him the signal to work with me, so I tap on my helmet and point forward and tell him to work with me, because my goal for this session was to lead from the front so that I could try to break away from the rest of the pack, and so that I can be alone with myself and be alone with my thoughts, so that I can just settle down and stay smooth. Because whenever I'm alone, I'm able to stay much more smooth and much more focused. So settling down is a big part of what makes me go fast. And being alone while leading the rest of the pack makes me feel like I have control over the race pace. And if I have control over the race pace, then that means that I can slow everyone else down or speed everyone else up if I have to, so that I can break away from the pack. But here you can see that the push symbol doesn't really work, and he gets past me, but he goes really wide in this corner, and I cut under him for the switchback move and continue to get away from the rest of the pack. So through here, I start to notice that my kart pushes a lot and has a lot of understeer through that corner, so it's something that I want to keep in mind with. And also through the chicane there, you can see that I'm pulling on the wheel. Well, not pulling on the wheel, but kind of pushing it outwards, which means that I'm starting to slide. And whenever you start to slide, that's when you start to lose just slight bits of time to the people around you. So I'm just trying to manage that the best way that I can. And you can see me ducking it down again for the human DRS, and taking a very wide line into turn 1 so that I can make sure that I can maximize all the space on exit. And like I was saying, I just want to maximize the amount of time that I can gain on the other drivers. So I'm really pushing myself, because like I said, I wanted to, of course I want to win this race, but I want to win even more because there's racing mechanics there and racing drivers there. So it will just make me feel a lot better about myself and give me more of a confidence boost. But here you can see I'm just running a bunch of laps by myself, so I'm gonna cut to whenever more of the action happens. Now here we are cutting. You can see me looking behind, because I can notice that the drivers behind me are catching up a lot quicker than I thought they would. But this is about 5 to 6 laps later than when I cut, and you can see that whenever I go down to go and defend, the karts around the outside of me have a lot more top speed, and they get around me before we even get to the apex. So really defending just did nothing but open the door for them in that situation. So what I would do differently next time, instead of defending so heavily, is just stay where I am and let them overshoot the corner like I did the first time. But you know, that's a lesson learned, and we have to learn for the next time. So there we got overtaken again, and really I was getting frustrated because instead of staying in first, I was going backwards. And one of the biggest sayings in racing is, if you're not going forwards, you're going backwards. So in this race I was just going backwards and tumbling through the order because my kart wasn't very good. But not only that, I made a couple of mistakes on my own, which allowed these people to catch up to me and allowed them to get around me. One of those mistakes being going overly defensive, like I said, and going overly defensive really costed me about 2 or 3 positions, as you can see here. But here we're doing our best to just catch up, and I'm just pushing myself. So coming out of the final corner, you can see how big of a gap they have down the straightaway leading into turn 1. I'm just trying my best. I'm pushing myself. Hit the apex there. We get a pretty decent run. I shake my head because I didn't think that the run was good enough, but you can see that they're starting to catch up to some lap traffic, which hopefully slows them down and allows me to get to them, because if they're passing, they're not on the optimal racing line, which means that I'm going to be able to get a lot closer to them. So coming out of the penultimate corner, we catch up a lot closer to them now, and we're right on the bumper of the person in front of us. Again, like I said, he's a mechanic, but here we're using our human DRS to try to do anything we can to get closer to him. They're battling a bit in front of us, but we just wash out a bit too wide and dip 2 tires in the grass there. Coming through this turn, we get dive bombed a bit by the guy behind us, and again, like I said, if you're not going forwards, you're going backwards, and I'm continuing to fall backwards. I'm trying to claw my way up any way that I possibly can. We passed one person who, I think he had a kart issue possibly, or he just let off to let us race more. And you can see that I'm giving him the hand signal saying push me, and there you can see that we get a push and we get a big boost of speed, and we go on the inside of this person. We shove him out wide, and then I give him another signal to continue pushing forwards, because that really helped me get up into this position. So here you can see that we get a lot of understeer through turns 4 and 5, I want to say, and through the chicane we get a bit of oversteer. But again, we're just trying to continue to catch up to the top 2 people, and we're doing a pretty good job at it with the help of the person behind us giving us a big push down the straightaways. Here you can see I give another big push signal, and I get another big push, and we're coming into this corner flying hot, and we just tap into the left rear of the person in front of us, and we lose all of our momentum and we slide out. So here they go 3 wide into the corner. I catch up, and again I tap the back of someone, and I just lose all my momentum, but I'm still able to make up a position by diving to the inside of this person here, and I hold it around the outside for their comeback move. So I'm up 1 position compared to where I was earlier. So that's something, and I really needed that. So here you can see I'm coming to the back of a guy named Seth. I know him, and I get the move on him. We run out a bit wide, but he comes back and gets the switchback on me, which I wasn't too happy about. And you can see that I'm pushing my kart the most that I can. I get a lot of understeer through 4 and 5. Jump over the curb here, and we get shoved out wide by one of the mechanics, but I'm having none of it, and I jump over the curb to get the position back, but he comes around the outside of me and has so much more momentum than me and so much of a better kart than me that he gets past me and starts walking me on the straightaways. He just goes about 6-7 tenths quicker than me. But with that being said, this session is over, and in the next session we get into a lot of really good, really fun and close battles, so stay tuned in for that session, guys. So here's our second session, and these are the drivers that I was talking about earlier in the video. So these are the pro drivers, and they were here to race cars for the USF Pro Tour and the USF Junior Pro Tour, and they were just coming here on the Thursday before they had to roll out and go and do their Pro Tour duties on the big car track that they have at NOLA. But as you can see, I get out into first place as soon as we roll out of the pit lane. So I'm pretty excited. I'm elated about that in the kart. I was really happy, but I was just trying my best to keep on to the lead, and really I wanted to do the same thing as last race, but instead of going backwards I wanted to go forwards or just stay in first place for the whole entire race. But here you can see that this guy spoiled our plans of staying in first for the whole entire race, and he passes us, but we tap the inside of his left rear and we start to spin around and we have to come back on the track. And I was really mad at myself for making that mistake, because instead of just sliding behind him and working with him, I decided to go for a silly dive bomb, and it set us back all the way to the end of the pack. So here I'm just trying to pass everybody in front of me. You can see I do a really aggressive chop at the steering wheel. As you can see, extremely mad with myself for making that silly mistake, but I have to get back in the cart and just get back in the right mentality to try to come back and make my way back up to first, which might be a tall task. So here you can see that there's a few people in front of me, but the field is kind of spread out a lot compared to when I was in the front. So when I was in the front, it wasn't the field was tighter than how it is now, and everybody was much closer together. But the field has spread a lot, and it's going to require a lot of hard work for me to get back up into the pack. But here you can see that I'm catching up with Seth in the gray helmet and one of the racing drivers that was here for the Pro Tour in the brown sweatshirt. So here I'm giving Seth a bit of a push, but I wanted to work with him. But instead of that, I decided to pass him and ask him to just bump me. And I was just trying, like I said, to desperately get back up into the first position. But here, the driver, he actually graciously points me by, showing that he wants to work with me and showing that he wants to get me back up into first place, or at least try to help so that we can both get back into the pack ourselves. But here, you can see that our GoPro starting to fall a little bit, and we do the human DRS here, and we take again a nice and wide line. We take a good line through there, and you can see that we've caught back up to the pack completely. So it seems like they've been doing a lot of battling, and this is the driver who I spun out against on our inside. He gets the overtake done, but then he gets driven off track by one of the other drivers, and that leaves me back in first place. But we get dive bombed through there, and we come back and hold it around the outside as we pass a stricken cart, and we just somehow get first place. But here you can see that we're doing the human DRS, and my GoPro actually falls down, so I'm gonna cut to whenever I get the GoPro back up. So now, many laps later, we get our GoPro back up, and our friend in front of us, one of the drivers that was here for the Pro Tour, he got back in front of us, and he goes down low to go defensive, but I try to swoop it in around the outside, and the move almost works, but he just runs me out of the road, and I get bumped by one of the other drivers that was here for the Pro Tour, and we're now back into fourth place. So, and you can also see there's another driver trying to make a lunge, but I shut it down and I don't let it happen. But he goes for the lunge anyways through the chicane, and he gets it done. So now we're all in a big train, and we're all in a big line, just trying to claw each of ourselves back up in the first place. And here, coming through the final corner, you can see that there's a bit of battling going on in front of us. So I'm trying to pass on the inside, and I get the pass done on the inside. And what I do is I ask him to work with me. My friend Seth, I ask him to work with me, and he gives me the bump, which signifies to me that he's ready to work with me. So here, I make a dive on one of the other drivers. There's some aggressive racing going on. One of the drivers gets shoved out of the way, and I manage to swoop my way around the outside. Not entirely clean, but I make it work. And you can see the person in first place gets held up by a back marker, and he does a swerve to try to get the back marker away from him, but we catch back up, and this is the last lap. So we hit him a bit because he just lost all of his momentum, and coming around the outside, we turned down on him because he hit us going into the apex. We give him a bit of a wave, and through here we have the inside line. We get bumped a bit from the back, resulting in a lot of understeer, and we go defensive on the chicane. We catch up to a back marker, and we tap the back marker just a bit, but hopefully that's enough to secure first place. And as you can see, there's nobody behind us, and we start celebrating with just about 30 to 40 feet left of the race. And as you can see, I'm really happy about it. Came in first place against a lot of the Pro Tour drivers, but my lap time, I was second for the lap time. The guy in the purple and pink helmet was actually in first in terms of lap time, but I was first out on track, and to me that's what matters. And here you can see that we're pulling into the pit lane. And with that being said, the video's over, but one thing that I wanted to add on was I'm grateful